Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Laura?
I'm doing well. Will you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Young Wha. Um, I have known you and Ken for a long time, that I probably I'll say about almost 20 years.
Yes.
I could be wrong, but it's been a long time, but it's a very good journey that our friendship and the relationship that we have is just a phenomenon. And I mean, every day I thank God that we have this kind of relationship.
Okay. Now, where are you originally from?
I'm from South Korea.
Okay.
Yes, and I came here in the state in only 1976. So I've
Okay.
been here long enough that you know, then in Korea, and
All right.
yeah, and I
Thank
came
you
as
for
a
sharing
nurse.
that.
Yes,
Okay, you came as a nurse. So do you still work as a nurse?
yes, I am. Yes, I am. I am still working in nurse, but there was um, some up and down, and I stopped nursing for a while. But yes, I'm still a nurse. Yes.
All right. You had stopped nursing to do what, though?
Um, I went to the financial industry. That's how I met Ken and you, and right. So it was very. It was just one of those the meeting that we had in an office, and somebody was saying that, oh, there come Ken, there come Ken. I said, who is Ken? But I have heard the Ken's name a lot because he was very up in the leader and upcoming associate and all that. So I heard him, but I have never met him until that time. But I didn't met him face to face, but I just saw him to walking by me, and that was the first time. But later on, it somehow that he and I and other business partner come together, have the office together, and that's why we start to working closely, and then
Mm-hmm.
at one office, and we kind of break it up, and then we we office other places, and and Ken wasn't coming with me, and but uh, one day you and Ken just showed up in my office and says that you wanted to come in and join me. I says,
And work together.
yeah, working together in the office. I said, well, that's great. So that's how we started to getting closer, and
Okay.
from there, if I may, to continue that how we get this relationship far, and this guidance that I've been getting and we've been getting. Um, One day, most of the time I sometimes I go out and eat for lunch, but most time I bring the lunch at the office. So if I have anybody there, and I said, well, let's come in and eat together. So I invite the Ken, and we were eating lunch together. And while we were eating, he looked at me kind of strangely and says, um, oh, is your mom or grandma, um, your name is kind of, he started coming, very strangely. And finally, I says, is your grandma passed away? I says, which, well, I don't have grandma, and all my grandma from my mother's side or father's side all passed away. But my father's side grandma is, I mean, I don't even remember because I was very young. She passed away. But my mother's
Mm.
side, and she always take me, whenever she go to market, especially, she doesn't take anyone else but me. So she was always kind of take care of me, and to put it on her arm. And she doesn't say much, but she was known as she's kind of tough and restricted and all that, but she was
Okay.
always taking care of me. And Ken says, well, your grandma is here, that she said she will take care of you. I said, well, she's been taking care of me when I was young. Oh, okay. And I was just saying, I was kind of accepting because I know my grandma, that has good memory that she's been taking care of me when I was young. I said, so Ken was asking me, what's your grandma's name? And her name is kind of the man's name. So it's kind of hard to pronounce. So I said, well, Chung Hyungjun. Yeah, that's what she says. Her name is Chung Hyungjun. So it was so funny. So that was a starting to know Ken is kind of different than I am or ordinary people. Says, well, that was very interesting. But I didn't really to reject or to against it, anything like that. But one time I told Ken about my experience when I was very young, and I was like elementary school, and I forgot what was the conversation about, but I was telling him, I said, well, I had experience when I was in elementary school, and the teacher asked all the children, says, well, which comes first, eggs or hen? Chicken? That's a question that a lot of people ask.
Correct.
And I raised my hands, and so I said, well, I know. And so teacher called me out in front, and then, so tell me, which one is first? So I told everybody, and including teachers, I said, well, I believe hen is first. The chicken is first. Chicken is first. Here's why. Because when God created us, he created everything alive. He didn't create egg first. He created the bird, he created the mountain, he created, everything else is us. So God created chicken first, not eggs. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I told that story to Ken. I says, well, so I believe God created us. So,
all right.
So that was the conversation. That kind of conversation that comes and goes, but to a little bit more, and to wind up more. And one day, there were some changes in our office, and the landlord was sick, and he passed away. And somehow the new landlord was coming, but the new landlord happened to be his son, but he has a whole different, mindset and different way to run the business. And so Ken and I was discussing about, should we renew the lease and all that. And Ken and I were sitting in the office in the desk, and I hear somebody was walking in the office. And Ken said, "Did you hear door was opening?" I said, "Yeah, there was somebody was coming in." I ran out, and there was nobody. Oh. So I came back and sit down, and he says, "Well, the landlord name was Eddie." I said, "Eddie is here." I said, "Eddie, the landlord?" And he said, "Yeah. He's kind of tall. He was very tall, and he's wearing white t-shirt. He usually wear the white polo shirt. That's how he usually does. He wear the polo shirt, but he usually wear many times he wear the white polo shirt. And he came in and he says, so I looked at Ken. I says, "So what is this saying?" And he says, "Well, he says, it's not good idea to you to renew the lease."
This is the first time I'm hearing this story.
Really?
Yes. I have no idea about this. Nope. I just know my husband came home and he said, "Well, we're closing the office." And that was it. That's all I knew.
Oh.
So this is news to me.
Wow.
The owner who had passed away came in and told you guys it's not a good idea to renew.
Right, because we weren't sure should we stay in that office or not, and we were kind of juggling ourselves. And that landlord who passed away and showed up, and Ken was able to see it, and I said, "Oh, okay." And back then, I didn't, I wasn't like I said, I didn't reject or anything, but yet I kind of stunned, and I was just, well, okay, God is with us and helping us. So that's how I, receive it and to accept it. I said, okay, so answer. So we're gonna move on.
All
So
right.
that's how we closed the office. But even though the office was closed, but we were keeping our relationship. So do you want me to go on more experience that I had?
Yes, because I know that when you guys closed the office, that's when my husband decided to basically retire from the financial services, and he just started working from home. And around that same time, you guys you and your husband started calling my husband to be asking for guidance on what you should be doing. I know that there was money you were moving, and then you guys all of a sudden were moving. So could you talk about what happened there and how you ended up moving out of state?
Well, so from there, so your office, you and your husband's office was closed, but I had a little bit more left, so I stayed there. But there was a turmoil coming in, and I was very sick, and I would end up in the hospital. And then one of my associate and my business partner, she didn't say anything about it. One day she came and took all her belongings and then went away. And that was kind of shock. So I called Ken. I says, well, this is what's going on. This is what happened. And also I was in the hospital. So I called Ken and you guys all came to me and visit me in the hospital. And Ken was telling me that just to say this, decree, think what was the decree about is now kind of block. Okay.
Is it where you thank Mother Mary and Archangel Raphael for perfect health?
Yes. Yeah. So I return my body to, I command my body elements, return my body to God's original formation. That's what he told me that, do that.
Okay.
So I kept doing it. I kept saying it. And I got better and I came home and after 10 days actually. But and then from that and hospitalization, and one of my business partner just quit, took it off, and it was a lot of challenges was coming all together. And so and I called Ken to give us some guidance as well. Now what do we have to do? So, and during that time, because I had some financial challenges, that Ken was helping me out to clear all that. And there was, I have a I couldn't make a big decision, but I came and the guidance came and it says, well, I should do that. So I said, well, until all this now, what now? What else that I can, do? And I just give myself to all into God, and I'll just accept it. And that's how, I said, well, okay, so I'll just do whatever you say. So I closed the office, and also I quit the that company, with the financial company. So, and I started doing my own. And also Ken guide me to set up my own company and to how to do this, how to run that. And so I was running, by myself or with my family, and had the company. So I was working out of the office, but yet I was still doing business with Ken and to getting all the guidance. And then there's a time that came and that we need to be relocated to somehow, and we don't know where to go. And my husband was saying that one time. I says, well, let's move out of state. So I says, what out of state? Where we have to go? I mean, if we cannot, I told my husband, well, if we cannot finish it here, do you think we can finish in another place? Well, so I talked to Ken about this, and Ken was, guiding me, and with my and presence and angels as well. Yes, you should move out of state. So, and I came back to my husband and said, okay, let's move out of state. So now where we want to go, So we were kind of, accepting the guidance, and also, my husband didn't know anything about the, guidance and teaching, okay. But however, he was kind of following, but also again, but he always raised his, opinion that he wanted to do this way. But somehow that when I received the guidance from Ken, and when I bring it to my husband, he agreed. He agreed that,
wow.
Yeah. So it was not really hard to let him know that, or to that I'm making my own decision. You follow me. It was not like that. So, but my husband didn't believe that, what Ken is doing. So we end up to come to Dallas. And there was a guidance that from Ken gave us. So, well, so my husband, so I bring it to my husband. I says, well, how about Dallas? And, we had some couple of places. Well, should we go to California? Should we go to here and there? But, and somehow the Dallas came on. And back then, you guys were also, Ken was telling me that you were going to move. But
right,
I asked Ken, where would you move? He said, well, close to home. So then is it going to be Texas? So he said, maybe. I don't know. So in my mind, I wanted to, live close to Ken.
Oh, that's what you were asking for.
Yeah. And with you guys. So I said, well, Texas would be good. But, we've been traveling to Texas, Houston and Dallas, but boy, that area is so hot. And so we, my husband and I said, well, there's a crazy people living out there in the desert. I don't know why they're living in there,
And now you guys went out there.
Yeah. So little that we know, and we have to move. And, we had two minivan back then, and one minivan were not really good, that we weren't sure that it's going to be travel that long, because it took about 2 or 3 days to move, to come from Chicago to Dallas with all this, everything in the stuff in the car.
Wow.
So
then
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I was about to say, I remember you guys not being sure about where you were going to stay and what you would be doing. So will you please talk about that?
Excuse me. So I asked Ken again. I says, so my husband accepted that we should go to Dallas. He says, okay. So, excuse me. Mm-hmm. So again, I call every time when it comes up, and so I call Ken and says, so where should we move? Excuse me. Oh, my throat is all tickled. Mm-hmm. So he said, well, yeah, Dallas is good. And yeah, you're going to go to Dallas. So I says, I don't know where to move. And, should we buy a home? Should we rent it? Or I don't know. And so he says, that time was really all the economy was bad, and there was a lot of foreclosing and all that. So, and I wanted to buy a house, foreclosure house, and so I gave the list of the foreclosing houses that see if we'll be able to buy one of those. I gave all that to the list of the Ken, but however, it didn't work out. And then Ken said, well, yes, Ken always said, yeah, you can do this, but that was not the guidance. So the guidance was rent an apartment. So we almost had to buy the house with my husband and myself, Will, that we were going to buy a house, and we had a contract actually. We put the honest money, but yet it didn't work out.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah, because Ken said, no, you're gonna rent. You're gonna have a rent apartment. But my husband and I was determined that we're gonna buy a house. So we didn't listen. So it ended up to the contract was not able to go through. Somehow it didn't work through.
God was telling you guys, no house, don't buy a house.
Right. So we rent the apartment, and then from there, but again, as much as I was, talking to Ken and get all the guidance, however, sometimes I do own things. I do a lot of own things. I don't ask him, and didn't work out. It didn't work out. So I was still looking for the insurance. Back then I was doing an insurance, so insurance agency that I can work with, and I found one, and it was good, but yet it wasn't good. The relationship that we had was good, however, the owner of the agency was demanding a lot and would lend some money and all that. I said, well, I don't have that, but you can keep your own existing business, but from now on, if you wanted to partner with me, then I come from what I have, and then we start from here, in a ground floor. So she accepted, and so we started doing the business, but it wasn't going anywhere. So we were still struggling with the finance. And then one day, I was talking to Ken, and I didn't like even though I came as a nurse, and that there was a purpose that I wanted to come to America. That's why I become a nurse. I didn't like to being a nurse. Although I was working as a nurse, and I am a nurse, but I hate to being a nurse.
I didn't know that.
So yeah. So when I got into the financial industry, and I was so happy because I was really doing a lot of things that differently than nurse, and I learned a lot. So so going back to that, Dallas, and I was still, struggling with the finance and the business.
Right.
And one day Ken was telling me that to give me the guidance. Said, well, you're going to go back to nursing. And I said, what are you talking about? That's what exactly I thought. You know how much I hate nurse. Nurse, And he said, yeah, I know. But he says, that's what is telling you. I said, what? How could she say that? And I says, Mom, so I don't know. But so he didn't push me or anything, but he was telling me, and then later on he called me one day, or I called him and says, well, I saw this program, Undercover Spas, and there was one company, and they're doing a home house service. And Laura and I was watching that show. I think that would be very good for you. Why don't you just go ahead and watch it? So I said, okay, that's a show, so what else I can lose? So I went, I went and watched it. And I can relate to those people, that what they're helping other people, that vulnerable, the helpless people in the home setting. Well, that's pretty good. And I look at the company was a Bright Star. I said, "Wow, that's unusual, Bright Star." Bright
Uh-huh.
Star. Okay, it's not Bright Star; it's a Bright Star together. So, um, I went on the internet and searched the Bright Star company, and so I asked Ken again. So I should go back to nursing, huh? And somehow it was, I was in financial industry, but I kept my nursing license inactive. It was active until for a long time. I was in the financial industry for about 16 or 17 years. I kept my
You kept
license.
it active the whole time.
Uh-huh. I don't know why I did it, but somehow I did it.
Huh.
My RN license was active, but because I didn't work
You
that for
just
a long
have
period
to
of time,
transfer it.
so I have to, renew, and I have to go on some training and whatnot, and all that, then requirement there. So I told Ken, I says, I have to do all this, and it'll cost a lot of money and also time. I don't know how I'm gonna get, but well, he said, well, that's the guidance. I'm just a messenger. That's always he says. Yeah, I'm the messenger. So I looked at, so I found one of the Bright Star company, and I went in there, and well, I called first. I didn't even call actually. I went in there and I looked for the director of nursing, and she was actually coming in, and from the outside, and I told as well, my name is Young. I call I introduced myself to the American, because my name is Young, because they can hardly say Young Wha. I don't know why.
Right.
So, and I am I have Illinois license, but I have moved here, and I was wondering if you have an opening. And she said, "Oh yes, yes, come on in." And so I explained to my situation. I haven't worked with this, but in order to get the license in active and endorsement to Texas, this is a requirement. Either I have to go on training for 2,000 hours, or some institutions that have the preceptor to guide me, to have that signature that I had confident all this proficiency is, all the completed, and then he or she can sign up, and then I can get the license.
Okay.
So there's a temporary license for that, about 6 months, that I can work as an RN with the Illinois active license and the temporary license, Texas, and that's how I got that. So
That's amazing.
yeah, I had no idea how I'm going to get that, because think about for 2,000 hour, that actually about a 6 month or more than, like about an year that you have to pay the institution, and also you don't get paid, and you have to actually invest your money and a time in order to get the license of tax.
Volunteer. But then because you went into that company, that was all
Uh-huh.
bypassed because
Right.
they were willing to sign off on everything for you.
Uh-huh. And also I was working there, and I was making money. They were paying me.
Aren't you
So
glad you followed the guidance?
yeah. So I mean, little that I know that I was following the guidance. Well, because Mother Mary said that I'm gonna be a nurse again. I says, okay, I'll follow it, because what Mother Mary says. Okay. So I follow that. And if now I'm thinking about this, and if I didn't follow the guidance, what would I be now? I have no idea.
Indeed.
Uh-huh.
Indeed, because you've had so many things transpire since then.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, once you started getting your career underway,
Mm-hmm.
you seemed to call for guidance less, and it was more so just giving us updates as to what was happening, which was
Right.
nice to see because
Right.
things were just falling into place for you. I mean,
Right.
even in there's a in the past year or two, you and your husband were supposed to get a new vehicle.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's another thing. Why? Right. So, so like I said, we had a two van from the Chicago, and one was getting really, really old, and it was not really. We were kind of worried that one day it's going to be stopped, and all of a sudden we'd be stuck in the street. So I was asking Ken. I says, "Well, I think we need a car." I says, "Your car is okay." I said, "You don't know. My car is getting old, and we are very worried that one day it's gonna stop in somewhere and that it will be stuck." So, but he says, "Well, okay, but it's not time yet. So you'll be getting a car, but just look for it." I said, so I had to wait about good years. So I was kept asking, so what kind of car that I'm gonna get? So what kind of car should I get? So we were looking all this, and Ken didn't give me the guidance what kind of car that I should look for, but at least a 6 month. So I asked him, my son David, I said, what should I look for? But I wasn't going to buy a brand new car, but I was still wanted to get used car, but the new that can last long and to in a good one. So I went in online and looked for this and that. So when the time come that close to that that I'm going to get, and Ken was guiding me and says, well, you're going to get a SUV and it's a green car. As okay, SUV and a green car. And one day, and I was in the home, and somehow, and there, the TV was on, and the TV, there was commercial, and they were saying that, oh, it said, there was a car commercial, and the gentleman was saying that, well, we got just to give it to you. And I didn't look at the commercial, but I was hearing that. And I said to myself, and I said, well, thank God I got it. I got it. That's how I respond, and somehow. So when the time comes that, the guidance that I got is that I'm going to get a green Hyundai Santa Fe. And the price range is about this much. I said, okay. So I went into website and looked for those kind. And here comes the one. So I called and I put it in, I sent emails that I wanted to, see the car. So, and the dealer called me and says, well, if you wanted to come in and take a look at it, and just, you can take a look. But I knew that car was mine. That was ours. So, my husband and my son, our son David, and the three of us went in there. And I had check ready and to deposit and all that, down payment and all that. And there it was the car there, the green Santa Fe, and about that price.
Amazing.
The price that Ken gave us, it was the exact amount. And David says, Mom, when I heard you that you're gonna get the green car, I was kind of green car, But the green color was so beautiful, and we have not seen those green cars. So my husband was happy, and myself was happy. And when I get out that dealer, that was the same dealer in the commercial. Says that we're gonna just give it to you. That dealer.
That's pretty cool.
I said, wow. Can you believe this?
Talk about confirmation for guidance you received,
Right. Yeah. That was very, very awesome.
Indeed it was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since then, your husband passed away. And I know last summer you came and visited with us with your husband, and it was a wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you guys went back home, he took a turn for the worse.
Mm-hmm.
During that whole time, though, you had been calling daily, sometimes multiple times a day, and
Right.
receiving different guidance and other information in regard to your husband.
Uh-huh.
With all of that, did that help you to, let me just say, did it help you in any way?
Yes, it did. Um, if I didn't have a guidance, probably I was panicked to going jump all over, because I didn't. I mean, nobody expect that when you're gonna pass, but when your loved one is passing, even though they're sick, very sick, even though the doctor come in and says, "Well, it's not gonna last long," or whatever, but nobody know. But when those time comes, most of people, I'll say, most of people get really panic and don't know what to do. But I mean, not daily, or more than daily, that I was talking to Ken. I says, well, this is what's going on with my husband. What's going on with him? And so instead of asking doctors, well, I called Ken and said, what's going on with him? So Ken was, guided to tell me what is going on with my husband to prepare him the way he need to go. And it wasn't, it was sad to hear those, but yet my mind was very calm than to be panicked that I was preparing myself also to, it's a time for my husband to go, that I have to be with him, to assist him, to help him to go the way he needs to be. So with
There
that,
were, go ahead.
yeah, with that, because I was able to prepare not only me, it was also all my family. And the most importantly is my husband was getting ready for him to go. Because think about that, if you when your time comes up and you're most of the time that you're sad because you're leaving your loved one, that you worry about it. But the guidance that we have, my husband, and I was telling, my husband, that time my husband was more to believe in the guidance. And he says, this is what Ken says. And I was able to communicate to him more that openly. And he says, he accepts those.
When you're going through that process during those last few days,
Mm-hmm.
um, from my understanding, your husband was pretty much like asleep most of the time, but still, when you had a call with Ken, he came through on
Mm-hmm.
the spiritual side while his body was still there,
Right.
still alive, but he came through on the call to give you guidance. Is that correct?
Yes. So the last, um, he told me, my husband wasn't unkind. Well, he was not responding because he was sleeping, or they sedated him very much because he was having a lot of pain. So they gave him a lot of sedations. Um, so he was unresponsive, and but he came through, Ken, and gave me the message that yes, this is my time that I need to go, but don't um, don't hesitate me, or don't do not do anything if I take my action off from my face. That's the sign of that my time is up, that I need to go. But
Wow.
yeah,
So then you knew as soon as he consciously took the oxygen off his face that was it. That was his way to say, I'm leaving. Goodbye.
right. So after I got the message, and there was many times that it was unconscious, but he tried to get it up, but I couldn't let him do it. So I put it back, and then when it comes to that point that I wasn't able to not to leave him alone and just take his mask off. But when really the time comes, there was a nurse that he needed to do for my husband and myself. He came and took it out because that was his time.
Oh.
So it was also guided to that but I was prepared, and however, it's hard to follow that guidance because I cannot just let him go. In my mind, and yes, I know he need to go. It's time for him to go. He's gonna go, but yet I couldn't just let him go. I was hang on to him, but because my weakness, and that angel actually, or the guidance came in, and other helper and came in, and that it was time for him to take his action up because he was already, time was up.
Since then, you got a lot of guidance with the whole funeral process. Mm-hmm. And I know your husband has come through several times since his passing last year. Do you ever feeling like he's around you?
Many, many times. And now it's not like more frequently than before. Can you hear me, Laura?
Yes.
Okay.
I can.
Okay. The screen is kind of frozen.
Oh, everything seems to be fine on this end.
Okay. So now it's working. So yeah. So after the funeral, I went with my niece home to New Jersey, and I stayed there for 2 weeks, and then went to the Chicago and had a memorial service there, and with my mother-in-law. And whole that time, that when I travel, when I in the New Jersey, many times he was there. And also after he passed, and we went to church in a Saturday mass, and he was sitting right next to me, just like when he was alive.
You saw him?
I saw him, and I wouldn't say because that was my talent or anything, but because I was probably getting more guidance from Ken, and to learn to accept that and being accepted, and that's how I feel that I was able to actually he was right beside me, and I felt that, and it was very awesome. So, and I talked to Ken about it. Says, yes, he was with you. He was with you in the mass, and I told him that what he was wearing, and so yes, he did. Yeah.
That's great confirmation for you. That is neat. Really cool.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your stories and experiences with us. I truly appreciate your time. Yeah. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Well, now, even though now I'm asking Ken more and more that before I do anything. Now, like it says that I used to reporting him, so this is what I did, but he said, okay, but now before I do that, and I would just ask him, says, I have to take one test, and then here, and I ask him, says, okay, when should I take the test? And these are the available date, which one? And also when now I moved to California, and before we got the new place in California with my son, and we were looking for the houses that to rent, and we also gave the address to to Ken and to you guys as well. Please give us the guidance. That's how we got this house. So we're living in here. So now I do more and more than before. But again, sometimes I do my own thing. When I do my own thing, it doesn't go well. Doesn't go well.
I understand that completely. I know. I used to try to do my own thing, and now I don't. I've been living with my husband long enough. It's like, just follow the guidance when you get
Right.
it, and life will be so much simpler.
Yeah. So it's much easier life. If so, I'll tell you this, whoever is watching this video, if you wanted to have an easier life, get a guidance first.
I agree. I endorse Young Wha's message.
Yeah. I know you're smart and everything, but get a guidance first and it'll be much easier. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I will be contacting you again because I know you have some great stories about healing work that was done as well. But
Yes.
today's is definitely about guidance, and I appreciate you sharing. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Love your face. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.